blinked. I ruined it. I was thinking you and I were going to have a stare down, Muse. And I was going to say, hey, I've got plenty of experience doing this with my cats. But that sort of bravado would have been false because I blinked right away. I failed. I failed you, Muse. I failed this city and I failed my muse. Look, I have something to talk about. Something that directly affects you. Maybe not affects you, but you are complicit with. Because you are on my side. You're on my team. You are on Team Jack. Woo! I don't know why I said that. Can I strike that from the record? Let it be known that that has been stricken from the record. Anyway, I get asked a lot by both readers and new writers about my process of writing. And when I tell them that how I do this, that I'm very much right off the cuff without any idea of what's going to happen, a lot of times the readers tend to respond in shock. They're surprised. And writers don't necessarily respond in shock because many writers are quite aware that there are different types of processes, and one very common process is what's called pantsing. I don't like to call it that. I like to call it writing without a net, which you know because you're my muse. But I think the surprise comes with how quickly I can write a story, and new writers often, when they attempt to write this way, they get stuck very quickly, and they want to know how I kind of get around those blocks. And I have a very simple solution for that. And the solution, I think, is made even more simple because you and I have a great relationship. And our relationship is a two-way street, I think. Strange to think that the relationship between an artist and his muse would be, or his or her muse would be a two-way street, but I believe it is. Because I've kind of felt that shift of idea that when I'm taking in something you have given me and I manipulate it through my own filters, what comes after what you give me next is based upon that change. But anyway, that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is this, how it is that I manage to plow through the writing. I keep it going. I keep it moving forward, even though I don't know what's happening next. And I think that the process can be made very simple. And it's made simple because I always look at everything through the lens of the character. And the simple question, what would the character do next, is a really often easy one to answer when you know the characters well. But that doesn't always drive a story forward, because if you're only looking at it through the eyes of the character, then everything's going to be pretty easy, right? Because, the character wants this, they get that, you just keep on moving. So a lot of times what I do when I sit down to write, I say, what can I throw in the way of the character getting what they want? And that want or need is key. You have to know what the character wants. And I mean big want. Big wants and little wants. You have to know what they want. What is their objective? And this kind of relates back to my acting training. So what is the character's objective, and what is in the way of the character's objective, and how can they use their skill sets and their intellect and their relationships to get around those objectives? And the objectives are important because the objectives are put into place by, who guess, me, the writer. Yeah. So I toss this objective in, or I toss this obstacle in the way of the character, and then the character has to confront that obstacle with a keen eye on their objectives. How do they continue driving forward toward their objectives when there's an obstacle in the way? Okay? So that in and of itself can be a scene, could be a chapter. Character wants this. Writer tosses this in the way. Character does this to get around the obstacle. And the obstacles don't have to be huge. They don't have to be the death of a lover or a big bad criminal coming in the way of coming in and shooting them down or whatever. The obstacles can be small. But the obstacles, and it's important that the obstacles always have something to do with the plot. You can't just don't throw random. And this is something that always gets to me when I'm reading a book or watching a movie. Sometimes it seems like the writer threw something in the way of the character simply for plot convenience. So that because the character's plowing forward in the scene, they're going to get to what they want too soon. Oh no, we got to throw an obstacle in the way. It doesn't matter what, just throw something in the way. Oh my gosh, they're choking on a gumball they got from a machine. Oh no, they got to go to the hospital now because they're choking on a gumball, and it's going to prevent them from getting their obstacle. What does that gumball have to do with the plot or what the character wants? It has nothing to do with it. It's just a random device thrown in by the writer to pass some time. And that is the danger. You don't want to throw obstacles in the way of the character simply to pass the time. And you've seen that. We've seen that so many times where a writer will throw an obstacle in the way of a character just because, oh no, I'm not going to meet my word count. The things that get in the way of the character getting what they want have to have some level of importance. And I don't mean they have to be grand. I mean they have to have some relativistic nature to the story. And that's really kind of how I keep things moving forward. I just understand what the character wants. I understand the character's objective, be it the overarching objective or the objective for that one scene. Put something in the way of them getting to that objective, and then I have them get around the obstacle and reach their objective. And that's what it's all about. Objectives and obstacles. And knowing the characters. Because each character is going to approach an obstacle in a different way. And that really is the heart of it. So, for example, last night I'm writing the sequel to Suicide Station, and I get to a part where I'm like, okay, what happens next? And with every writer, there's, once you have given me the idea, I have to keep it moving forward. And with every writer, there comes a time in a story where you go, oh crap, what's going to happen next? And you step back, right? And you say, well, what are the objectives of this character? And you go, okay, well, here's the big objective. We know that. Well, what are the other little objectives? What are the more subtle objectives? The smaller objectives that give the character depth. What's going on with those? And you go, oh, there's this one right here. Okay, what do we do to move that one forward? Okay, well, all right, let's make sure the character remembers that objective, throw something in the way of it, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, there we go. That's my next scene. It's as simple as that. Cause and effect. I think that's what all good writing boils down to. Cause and effect. And objectives and obstacles. Wants and needs. That's how I do it. It makes it sound really easy. It's not necessarily that easy, but that's how it's done. And I just shared it with you, Muse. Use that information how you will. But now you know exactly what I do with the information that you give me, Muse. And as always, I appreciate it. I am so grateful that you and I have this thing going on. Because without you, this journey would be a whole hell of a lot tougher. Anyway, thanks, Muse, for listening. I hope you got something out of this. I know I always do. Have a good day musing about, Muse. Musing about? Do you muse about? I'm going to shut up now. Just got to shut up. Sometimes I just got to learn to shut up. I'm shutting up now. Shut up, shutting up.